Hello and welcome to another episode of Diablo II D&D. My name is David, and today we're going over the Necromancer. So, to start off with, I've been thinking about the audio levels on the videos that I've been putting out, and I'm wondering if they're a little too low. Just let me know, drop a comment, or talk to me in person if you're, one of those people. Anyway, starting off with actually a bit of a story. So I started recording on Thursdays with the intent to record right after our sessions. That is now impossible due to work. But I figured you guys would be interested in finding out what happens in the campaign. So currently they are in Act 1. They have just completed the Forgotten Tower. And they're on their way back from the monastery to drop off the hammer to Charcy to complete the Tools of the Trade. However, some things happened during the Forgotten Tower that I think would be a little problematic for a normal campaign. So we were actually fairly short on time because I had, like I said, work, and so I got there late. But I ran them through the tower on their way to the Countess, and they ran into a handful of enemies, a bunch of skeletons, wiped the floor with them. So they get to the basement. They do some scouting. They find that there's a couple of ghosts on the left. There's some fallen worshipping at an altar in front of them, and then some skeletons to the right. And they decided, let's take on the skeletons. So they rush through the door, just wipe the skeletons off the map, and then jam the door behind them so nobody can follow. Well, they realize that there's a corridor just around the corner, and the assassin moves up and around and comes face to face with more enemies. I think they were corrupted rogues, and they made really short work of them. But the noise attracted the attention of the fallen, and the fallen shaman sends one of the fallen to go investigate, and it walks past the door and immediately gets killed by the barbarian. So then the fallen sends everybody, and they just walk in, and there's this line of death. I mean, they only have 8 hit points, but the shaman, realizing that, nobody's coming back, just kind of hightails it out of there. But then they get to the Countess. They poke their head in, they see that there's the Countess and a mound of gold and a ton of other fallen rogues, corrupted rogues. And they get prepared, and it doesn't go exactly as planned, because anybody that's played the game knows that the Countess ignites the doorways on fire. So now they're actually taking damage as they're moving into the room, and it's going pretty well overall until the assassin decides to jump into the mix. Well, the assassin is at very low hit points and jumps into the melee and goes down. And then the Countess goes, "Oh, I can use her blood," and drags the assassin back behind the fighting line. And the assassin starts making death saving throws. One fail. And then the Countess hits her over the head. And that's a fail. Technically supposed to be a critical hit, but I decided to be kind. And then one success. And now everybody is trying to make it to the assassin, and then another fail. So we're down a character, and the way that I'm running this is, once death happens, I basically just leave it up to the player. Do you want to continue playing this character? Do you want to try something different? If they die and decided to continue, basically they just respawn in the main camp, or just hand wave it, or whatever. But the player decided, nah, I'm just going to move on to something new. But stupid decisions. You do stupid, you get stupid. So we'll be running into a new character pretty soon. That being said, the funny thing is, this is the same character, or the same player, that lost his other character due to another party member's actions. way back at the very beginning, literally one of my players' second sessions ever, like ever playing D&D. There was a nat 1 on a fire spell in a dry abandoned house. And yeah, the stairway caught on fire. The house started burning down. And the paladin, who was guarding the stairwell and was at very low hit points, decided, well, I could run or I could disengage, and decided to just run and provoke an attack of opportunity. And then got nailed in the back with a nat 20. So he goes down. The sorceress is just, I can't rescue this person. And so they jump out the window and just book it. And the house burns down around the paladin. And on his second session ever, the player killed another player. There was some trauma there, but everybody loved it. Everybody was having fun. So anyway, that's where we are in the campaign right now. We're down a character until, next session. But, all right, on to the changelog. So the last video was the druid, and the druid was giving me some trouble. I mentioned it a couple of times in the video. There were some health and hit point calculations I was trying to work out, and I worked out a handful of things. You can see that there's, I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different changes. Not all of them exactly what I was talking about. Some was just clarifications. But let's start at the top. The first thing I did was clarify that you can use abilities, including feats, in the were form if the new form is physically able to do so. I never mentioned that before, so now it's here. Secondly, lycanthropy, the shifter level 3 feature now replaces the were form hit point calculations. Originally, it increased your hit points equal to, I think it was your wisdom score, and now it's just, you get, I think the werewolf gets twice your druid level, and the werebear gets 5 times your druid level. It's just a nice, simple replacement, and cuts down on mental math. Now, Feral Rage used to have, whenever you hit, you can gain hit points equal to your wisdom modifier. Instead, I made it a bonus action attack, kind of feeding into that werewolves, I want to hit as many times as possible. And then, if you hit, you gain life equal to the damage that you dealt. So this means you can actually critically hit and gain a ton of life, but it also means that you can miss. And part of the reason why I wanted to make that a bonus action rather than a passive ability is because Maul is more of the same. Maul used to say whenever you hit, you can knock prone, but then the next turn, they could just stand back up and you'd lose your advantage. Instead, Maul now says that you can, as a bonus action, attempt to knock them prone. This way you can knock them prone and get that additional damage on a hit. Rabies was competing as a bonus action for the Druid's Vine command. So what I did is I made it so that instead of a smite spell-esque bonus action then the next time you hit within a minute, I changed it so that it's a passive ability of you can deal poison instead of slashing damage for your unarmed strikes, and anytime they are hit, they make a con save or become poisoned for 1 minute. It just is a way to help out other players, so you can hit poisoned, hit poisoned, hit poisoned. Somebody did mention that maybe I should make it, they can only make this saving throw once in a turn, because otherwise you're going up against a boss, and you're going to burn through legendary resistances really, really fast. So maybe I'll see if I can. I'll probably nerf that. Now, the fire and Wind Druid, I just clarified that Fissure and Hurricane now round up rather than just leave it as a flat half damage. But that's it for the changelog. Let's go into the main class. Oh, right, this is a Necromancer video. Anyway. Okay. Class features. At level 1, you get 6 plus your Constitution modifier hit points. The Necromancer is based largely off the wizard, the D&D wizard, that is, not the Diablo III wizard. So it is a very squish character. Proficiencies, you get no armor proficiencies. You get dagger, darts, light crossbows, quarterstaves, sickles, and slings. No tool proficiencies. Your saving throws are Constitution and Intelligence, and you get 2 skills from Arcana, History, Insight, Investigation, Medicine, and Religion. Your starting equipment is a quarterstaff or a dagger, a component pouch or an arcane focus, which I may remove, I'm not sure, and a scholar's pack or an explorer's pack, and a trinket. And trinket's just anything small, bauble, essentially. It's like a journal or a fancy feather or something like that. It's just a thing, a small, well, it's a trinket. Now, by and large, this starting equipment and proficiencies and hit points are all based off of the wizard. I think the only difference is that the wizards don't get sickle proficiencies, and I swapped out wisdom for constitution, and the spellbook for a trinket. I think everything else is the same. Moving on to the saving throw DC, the Necromancer is a student of magic, and as such uses intelligence to empower their spells, curses, and summons. The difficulty class of any Necromancer spell or ability is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. Starting off at level 1, you get the Clay Golem. Beginning at first level, you gain the service of a golem. The first type of golem you can summon is a Clay Golem, which uses the summoned Clay Golem stat block. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points, or you summon another golem. You can replace the golem through a 1-hour ceremony, or heal the golem by spending 1 minute per 2 hit points. This creature is an ally to you and anyone you designate. In combat, the creature shares your initiative count, but takes its turn immediately after yours. On each of your turns, you can spend a bonus action to verbally command it if it is within 60 feet of you. If you don't issue any, or if you are incapacitated, it takes the dodge action and moves to avoid danger. At 7th, 11th, and 15th level, you gain access to additional types of golem. You can only have 1 golem summoned at a time. If you summon a golem while one is already summoned, the oldest one is destroyed. Summoned Clay Golem, medium construct, no alignment. Armor class 9 plus your proficiency bonus. Hit points 20 plus 5 times your Necromancer level. Speed 30 feet. Strength 14, Dexterity 8, Constitution 20, Intelligence 4, Wisdom 12, Charisma 8. Saving throws proficient in Strength and Constitution. Condition immunities to Charmed and Frightened. Passive Perception 11. Understand the languages you speak. No challenge rating. Proficiency bonus equal to yours. Now its main feature. When the summoned Clay Golem hits a creature or a creature hits it with a weapon attack, the creature must succeed a Constitution saving throw against your spell save DC, or be slowed until the end of its next turn. The slowed creature has half movement and disadvantage on weapon attacks and dexterity saving throws. Casting Mending on the summoned Clay Golem restores 2d6 hit points. Actions: Slam. Melee weapon attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, range 5 feet, 1 target, 3 bludgeoning damage. So the Clay Golem is the Necromancer's bread and butter for the starting levels, even in Diablo II. The Clay Golem is designed to just be a tank. It is meant to be just the go out there and absorb attacks, reduce the damage that is coming in. Statistically, it has the highest hit points of any of your golems. I think the Blood Golem gives it a pretty good run for its money, but it also has the lowest damage of any of them. That's why it has only 3 bludgeoning damage. But its big attraction is that slow effect. You send it into the middle of a pack of enemies, they all dogpile on it, and now you're able to take it out from a distance, or throw it out in front of a boss and have it burn through legendary resistances. It's just there to tank. And it's really good at doing that. Not a lot of damage, but a ton of hit points. All right, curses. foiled again. Beginning at 2nd level and again at 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th, you gain the ability to curse enemies. Choose one of the following curses. If the curse has a prerequisite, you must meet it. A level prerequisite means your level in this class. A creature can be affected by only one of these curses at a time, and if it would be affected by another curse, the previous one ends. Each curse takes an action, lasts 1 minute, and has a range of 60 feet. The Necromancer has an entire tree dedicated to curses, and there's 10 of them here, so every couple of levels you get one. You're only able to get, I think, a total of 5, so you get quite a few of pretty good ones, but you're restricted on which ones you're actually going to get based on your level. Now, there is a subclass, not official playtest material just yet, because it brings in Diablo 3 stuff, but there is a subclass dedicated to curses. But I'll get into that when I get into it. Starting off with Amplify Damage. The targeted creature makes a Wisdom saving throw. On a fail, anytime it takes bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage from a weapon attack, it takes additional damage equal to your proficiency bonus. Amplify Damage just increases the amount of physical damage that they are taking. Attract, prerequisite, 17th level. The targeted creature makes a Charisma saving throw. On a fail, anytime another creature within 30 feet of the cursed creature tries to make an attack, you can force it to make an Intelligence saving throw. If that creature fails, it attacks the cursed creature instead, using its movement to move by a safe route if necessary. This movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks. Only one creature can be cursed by Attract at a time. If you would curse a different creature with Attract, the first one ends. It does exactly what it says here. I think what it actually does is it makes the cursed creature have the same target priority as you. It kind of, quote-unquote, becomes a neutral third party. Confuse, prerequisite, 13th level. The targeted creature makes a Wisdom saving throw. On a fail, it is under the effects of the Confusion spell, except you don't need to concentrate on it. That's basically what it says here. Curses a monster to force it to attack random targets. The actual spell is pretty darn powerful. They can't take reactions, and at the start of their turns, they roll a d10 to figure out what they actually do. 9 or 10, they can act and move normally, but a 1 through an 8, they make some kind of behavior. They don't move or take actions. They use an action to attack a random creature, or they move in a random direction. Now, this is really, really powerful, but there is a note at the end that says it can make a Wisdom saving throw each turn and end the effect. So it's very powerful, but it is able to break out of it. So if you want to keep a creature confused, you're going to have to spend your action to constantly refresh it. Decrepify, prerequisite, 13th level. The targeted creature makes a Wisdom saving throw. On a fail, it is under the effects of the Slow spell, except you don't need to concentrate on it. Decrepify curses a group of enemies to make them slow, weak, and take amplified damage. I just decided there's enough damage coming in anyway, so let's just go with the Slow. Cuts their speed, cuts their attack speed, and cuts their damage. So the way that I did this is it is just the Slow spell. Their speed is halved. They take a -2 penalty to armor class and dexterity saving throws. Oh, that is not disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. That stacks. Whew. And it can't take reactions. On its turn, it can use either an action or a bonus action, not both. And it can't make more than one melee or ranged attack on its turn. And then if it tries to cast a spell with a casting time of 1 action, it has a chance for the spell to fail. And just like Confuse, it has a chance to end the effect every turn. This way, again, like I said, you have a chance for it to be really good, but you also have a chance for it to just last 1 turn. But because the curses are only single target rather than an area, I don't have any limits on how many times you can actually use these curses. So, one creature could potentially be slowed, or one creature could be potentially confused. So, yeah, it's a balancing issue. Let me know. Dim Vision, prerequisite, 5th level. The targeted creature makes a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, its vision is reduced to 5 feet. That's literally what the curse does. It cuts their vision radius down to, I think, 1 square. I could go for blinded, but they're not technically blind, but also the Druid's Ravens does kind of blind, so yeah, I think blinded is too much of a limiting, or too limiting, a bit too, I can't say powerful, but it's a bit too much for a 5th level ability. So that way, if they have the capability of attacking somebody within melee range, then they should be able to attack somebody within melee range. So I'm just leaving it as it is. Iron Maiden, prerequisite, 5th level. The targeted creature makes a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, anytime it deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage from a weapon attack, it takes half that damage rounded down. Iron Maiden is a joke in Diablo. It's just bad. Like, even a Thorns, like putting all of the you hit me, you take damage effects on top of each other, it's just bad. Mostly because, attack speed and whatnot. But the idea is that, yeah, anytime they hit you, they take additional damage. So they're encouraged to use spells or abilities. But also, like, if you have somebody that's coming in that is, dealing a ton of damage, you throw your Clay Golem out there, you curse them with Iron Maiden, and suddenly they are taking a ton of damage. So it's actually better in this build than in Diablo. Life Tap, prerequisite, 9th level. The targeted creature makes a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, anytime a creature deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage from a weapon attack to the creature, the attacking creature gains 2 hit points. Note, you can curse your golem, have the allies kill it, and make a new one or use mending, and get easy healing. Not particularly useful, as you can spend a short rest to heal up anyway. So technically, you can do this. Is it good? No. Is it helpful? But still. Oh my gosh, I keep forgetting. This is another healing ability. Anyway, this is basically just what it does. It heals you. Whenever you deal damage to a cursed creature, you get healed. I didn't want to make it too overpowered because, like, you notice here that it heals 50% of the attack damage. But healing in Diablo 2 is way, way, way better. Not better, but it's way more, I guess, consistent. It's less useful because you have other abilities and whatnot that you can use than Dungeons and Dragons. D&D is fairly grindy in that respect, where you have to manage more resources, I think. So having it just a flat 2 hit points, I think is good enough for 9th level, especially when you're able to make multiple attacks. So like, you throw this on the boss creature, and then you've got your shifter druid, and now they're able to gain 2 hit points every time they hit. It's really useful, but it's not too terribly powerful. Overpowered, I should say. Lower resist, prerequisite, 17th level. The targeted creature makes a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, that creature has vulnerability to cold, fire, lightning, and poison. And lower resist in Diablo does basically that. It reduces the resistance to cold, fire, lightning, and poison. Now, vulnerability is very, very powerful. But keep in mind, this is 17th level. Okay, this is God fighting tier. And a lot of these are actually commonly resisted. So you're dropping it from resistance to normal damage, or they might even have straight up immunity. So being immune to cold, fire, lightning, or poison does nothing when they have vulnerability, because 0 times 2 is 0. So it's good, and it's really helpful for bursting down weaker creatures, but the bosses might not even, flinch. Terror, prerequisite, 9th level. The targeted creature makes an intelligence saving throw. On a fail, that creature is frightened of you and creatures you control. I might actually cut the creatures you control off. But Terror does exactly that. Curse a group of monsters, causing them to flee in terror. Woo. Pretty simple here. And finally, weaken. The targeted creature makes a wisdom saving throw. On a fail, anytime it deals bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage with a weapon attack, reduce that damage by your proficiency bonus to a minimum of 1. That's weaken. Just reduces the amount of physical damage they inflict. So, yeah, pretty simple. 3rd level, you pick up a subclass. You get either Bone, Poison, or Summoner, or that potential Curse class, subclass that I mentioned. But again, I'm just going to get into that later. At 3rd level, you also get Bone Armor. Beginning at 3rd level, you are able to summon Eldritch Bones for your protection. You can cast False Life at a level equal to your proficiency bonus, and you can cast this spell a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. So Bone Armor is just temporary, essentially temporary hit points. It's a shield, but it only takes melee damage, and I didn't really like that. So I just decided, yeah, I'm just going to make this just temporary hit points. I had a couple of ideas as I was building this class, and I just decided False Life is simple enough and it fits. I mean, it's False Life, death, bone armor, whatnot. It's pretty cool. False Life by itself only gives you 1d4 plus 4 temporary hit points for 1 hour. And then at higher levels, it adds an additional 5. It's just a 1st level spell. It's not really all that powerful, but eventually you get to, a fairly sizable amount of temporary hit points, and you can become very, very tanky, even as a 1d6 class. Now, I did have a note here where I considered changing the material component from alcohol to a bone, just to kind of fit, or just removing the material component entirely. The Necromancer by itself doesn't get a lot of spells, so there's no real need for that component pouch or arcane focus. I don't know. I think it's kind of thematic, but also kind of unnecessary. A feat at level 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19, same as everybody else. Golem Blood. At 7th level, you are able to summon a Blood Golem. It uses the Summoned Blood Golem stat block. You can only have 1 Golem summoned at a time. Summoned Blood Golem, medium construct, no alignment, armor class 9 plus proficiency, hit points 20 plus 4 times your Necromancer level, speed 30 feet, 16 strength, 8 dex, 19 con, intelligence 4, 12 wisdom, and 8 charisma. Proficient in strength and constitution saving throws, immune to charmed and frightened, passive perception 11, understands the languages you speak, no challenge rating, proficiency bonus equal to your bonus, and then its abilities. Whenever the summoned Blood Golem deals damage to a creature that isn't an undead or construct, it regains hit points equal to the damage dealt. If it would heal a number of hit points greater than the amount missing, you regain hit points equal to the excess. The summoned Blood Golem can be healed by spells and abilities that don't affect constructs. Actions: Slam, melee weapon attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, range 5 feet, 1 target, 1d6 plus 3 slashing damage. So this is also another very, very tanky golem, but it does it in a very different way. Rather than slowing things down and having a ton of hit points, it just has a ton of hit points and regains hit points. I may have to cut down the number of hit points it heals, but we haven't reached that point yet. They're only 5th level, so we'll see. It doesn't have a ton of damage, which is why it's only 1d6 plus 3 slashing damage. So maybe getting 4 to 9 hit points on a hit isn't all that powerful, but we'll see. Iron Golem. At 11th level, you are able to summon an Iron Golem. It uses the Summoned Iron Golem stat block. In order to summon it, you must sacrifice an object made of at least 1 pound of metal, such as a weapon or metal shield. When the golem dies or is destroyed, roll a d20. If the result is less than or equal to your level, the object drops to the ground and can be reused. Otherwise, it is destroyed. And you may only have 1 golem summoned at a time. Summoned Iron Golem, medium construct, no alignment, armor class 18, hit points 20 plus 2 times your Necromancer level, speed 30 feet, strength 18, dexterity 8, constitution 14, intelligence 4, wisdom 12, charisma 8, proficient in strength and constitution saving throws, immune to poison, and immune to charmed, frightened, and poisoned. Senses, passive perception 11, understands the languages you speak, no challenge rating, proficiency bonus equal to your bonus. And if the summoned iron golem was summoned around a piece of equipment or a magical item, it gains the characteristics of that item. For example, it would have a +2 armor class if it was a shield, or a 10-foot reach and deal 1d10 plus its strength modifier slashing damage if it was a halberd. Whenever the summoned iron golem takes bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing damage from a weapon attack, the attacker takes piercing damage equal to half your proficiency bonus rounded up. Casting Mending on the summoned iron golem restores 2d6 hit points, and its actions are Slam, melee weapon attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, range 5 feet, 1 target, and 1d6 plus 4 slashing damage. So, to start off with, there is a theme here. As you get higher level, the hit points are kind of dropping, but the damage goes up. Especially those that ability that it has the whenever it takes bludgeoning, piercing, slashing damage from a weapon attack, the attacker takes damage. The Iron Golem actually has thorns. It actually has that passive ability of when it takes damage, it deals damage back. This is very thematic because it's really spiky. But the biggest attraction to the Iron Golem is being able to have a golem that has the characteristics of a magical item. You could find an item that is really, really nice. Maybe it has increased damage or a piece of armor that has resistance to cold or something like that. If you make your golem from that item, it gains those abilities. And so it could become really powerful or really tanky. It's very modular. And yeah, you could lose it, but since you're starting off with 11th level, that's a straight up 55% chance for the object, when the golem dies, for the object to just come back. And yes, at 20th level, you just get the item back. In Diablo 2, the item is gone. If the golem dies, the item is straight up gone, which makes it very expensive to get a really, really decent rune word golem. But I decided to be a little nicer in this one, rather than it just disappearing. It has a chance to drop. Now, this is actually from the original source material, where once the golem dies, it just drops to the ground and you can pick the item back up. So I figured, I'll do kind of a mix of both and have a nice gambling moment. So it's not too powerful. Speaking of powerful, the Golem Fire. At 14th level, you are able to summon a Fire Golem. It uses the Summoned Fire Golem stat block. You can only have one golem summoned at a time. Summoned Fire Golem. Medium construct, no alignment, armor class 9 plus your proficiency bonus, hit points 20 plus 2 times your necromancer level, speed 30 feet, strength 20, dexterity 8, constitution 14, intelligence 4, wisdom 12, charisma 8, proficient in strength and constitution saving throws, immune to fire damage, condition immunities, charmed and frightened, senses, passive perception 11, languages, understands the languages you speak, challenge nothing, proficiency bonus equal to your bonus. Now, at the beginning of the summoned fire golem's turn, each other creature of your choice within 30 feet of the golem makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, or take 2d4 fire damage or half as much on a successful save. When the summoned fire golem dies, each creature of your choice within 5 feet of it makes a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, or take 2d6 fire damage. If the summoned fire golem would take fire damage, it instead restores hit points equal to half the damage rounded down. Actions: Slam, melee weapon attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, range 5 feet, 1 target, 1d6 plus 5 bludgeoning plus 2d6 fire damage. This is your fire golem. It is big and powerful, a ton of damage. It's actually pretty strong in terms of hit points. And yes, it actually absorbs and heals from fire damage. So yeah, if you really wanted to, you could pick up some cantrip that deals fire damage and just start hucking firebolt into it just to heal it. You can do that, and sure, I guess, if you really wanted to. Makes it faster to put it back to full. It also has a holy fire aura. It's like 1/3 or a quarter of the level or of the damage that the paladin has. But it's really nice when you're running around, normal difficulty with max out fire golem and you're looking for chipped gems or something like that. It just, everything on screen just dies. Anyway, something that somebody may ask is, if it's immune to fire damage, why does it have this? If the summoned fire golem would take fire damage, it instead restores hit points. Well, the clay golem in Dungeons and Dragons is immune to acid damage, and they also have acid absorption. When it's subjected to acid damage, it takes no damage and instead regains a number of hit points equal to the acid damage dealt. Also, this is one of the few creatures that can actually solo the Tarrasque. But anyway, it could be that it stacks and it is both immune to acid damage and regenerates hit points, or that acid absorption is only there for if it loses the immunity to acid. I don't know, but I'm just basing it off of what I have right here. I think it works that first way, but I'll do some research and see how that shakes out. Golem Mastery at 18th level. At 18th level, your control over your golem has reached its peak. Your summoned golem has the following benefits. Its speed is increased by 20 feet. Its attacks are considered magical for the purposes of overcoming resistances and immunity to non-magical attacks. It has advantage on attacks, and it adds your intelligence bonus to its damage rolls. This is the peak of your golem and the capstone ability. It's kind of lackluster in my opinion, but also I gotta put something in there, so I may throw in some other ability. I don't know. We'll see. Epic Boon at 20th level, and we can move on to the subclasses. Subclass features! Starting off with the Bone Necromancer. Some necromancers are able to manifest aspects of the body of Trangul, the dragon on which they believe the world sits. Teeth. At 3rd level, you are able to manifest the teeth of Trangul. As an action, each creature of your choice within a 15-foot cone must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take a number of d4s equal to your proficiency bonus in piercing damage. Just a nice little cantrip level thing. Bone Spear. Upon reaching 6th level, you are able to manifest the Talons of Trangul. As an action, each creature of your choice within a line 30 feet long and 5 feet wide must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take a number of d6s equal to your proficiency bonus in piercing damage. This is an unlimited use, and this was all done basically in one pass. I've not gone back to rebalance it because the Necromancer in my campaign is a poison Necromancer. But details subject to change, not final. Bone Wall. At 10th level, you can manifest the bodies of the dead as barriers. As an action, you can create a wall of bone 40 feet long, 5 feet high, and 5 feet thick, or a ringed wall 15 feet in diameter, 5 feet high, and 5 feet thick. The center of the wall must be within 60 feet of you. The wall lasts for 1 minute until destroyed or until you create another one. If the wall cuts through a creature's space when it appears, the creature within the area is pushed to one side, your choice, and makes a DC 15 dexterity saving throw. On a failed save, the creature is knocked prone. The wall is an object that can be breached. Each 5-foot segment has AC 12 and a number of hit points equal to 10 times your proficiency bonus. This is Bone Wall and Bone Prison mashed together into one ability. They do basically the same thing, the only difference is the shape. I also kind of based this off of a couple of different abilities. I think there's something that can summon a wall of stone, I think. I think it's just called Wall of Stone, but it's very similar. Bone Spirit. At 14th level, you are capable of summoning a malevolent spirit to track down your foes. As an action, choose a creature that you have seen within the last minute. If it is within 100 feet of you, it must succeed a dexterity saving throw or take a number of d8s equal to your proficiency bonus in force damage. So Yeah, I like the way this is progressing. It's, here's a D4, here's a D6, and here's a D8. But I know these are pretty darn powerful. And like I said, all of this was done in basically just one pass, and I've not touched it ever since. So balance is completely out the window with this one. I know it's too strong. I'm aware of it, but it's not really a priority right now. The Curseweaver. This is the subclass that is drawing from Diablo 3. I had an idea and I wanted to get it down on paper. I am not using it in the Diablo or in the campaign that I'm in right now. It is specifically here just to say I wanted to get this on paper before I forgot about it. Curseweaver at level 3. Your curses have a radius of 5 feet rather than a single target and affect each creature of your choice. In addition, when you finish a long rest, you can choose any number of curses you know and replace them with the same number of curses you could learn. So this is a subclass dedicated to support. Being able to swap out which curses you know is really, really handy. I thought about making it for the base class at the beginning of or at the end of a long rest, you can swap out your curses, and then Curseweavers are just able to do it basically like as a short rest or something, or that they know all of the curses, but I like where it is right now. Cursebreaker. Upon reaching 6th level, you learn the spell Remove Curse and can cast it at will. Also, you cannot be cursed unless you choose to be, and can, as an action, touch one creature, object, or place and identify what curse or curses are affecting them and how long they've been applied. If you spend 1 minute in constant contact with the creature, object, or place, make a DC 20 Intelligence Arcana check. On a success, you gain the knowledge of the triggering and breaking conditions of the curse. So you are now basically, you're a curse breaker. Remove Curse, I considered dropping that to 3rd level and was wondering, is it too powerful? Is it not powerful enough? It's a very, very niche spell, but it can potentially completely invalidate campaign plot points. So I just dropped it, pushed it up to 6th level so that it's in line with your spell progression, or the quote-unquote spell progression that would be in here, but it's not, and gave you some other options to use. It's very situationally good, but when it's good, it's really good, and when it's bad, it's just completely unusable. Now, something to note here is that you cannot be cursed unless you choose to be. That means when you attune to a cursed item, the curse is part of the attunement. So you would have to allow yourself to be cursed in order to attune to the item. I'm sorry, but that's just the way the things work. Aura of Frailty. Some of you who played Diablo 3 will recognize this is the Diablo 3 part. At 10th level, your very presence becomes dangerous. When you finish a short or long rest, choose a Necromancer curse you know. Until you finish a short or long rest, whenever a creature moves within 15 feet of you for the first time in a turn, or starts its turn within 15 feet of you, you may have it make a saving throw against that curse. So Diablo 3 has a curse called Frailty that I think kills things under 10% hit points, but there is a rune, I guess, that can turn it into an aura. And so I was like, hey, that's a really good idea. Let's just cut down the distance so it's not too terribly big, and give you the ability to have essentially a curse as a passive ability, which makes it very nice because if you pick up, say, Frighten, or what is it called? Terror, then potentially they move in to that, melee creatures move into that area. They might not be able to attack you because they can't move closer to the source of their fear. So it becomes pretty darn good. Empowered Curse at 14th level. Creatures have disadvantage on saving throws to resist necromancer curses you inflict. 14th level, this is your big boost of power. Disadvantage on saving throws against your curses is very powerful. I like the idea. It solidifies the flavor of, I am someone who is dedicated to making sure that these curses are powerful and land. Like I said, Curseweaver, not official playtest material. I'd love feedback on it because this is something that will be officially a part of the build later on, but I just wanted to get it down because otherwise I'd forget about it. Poison Necromancer. Unlike their bone-based compatriots, poison necromancers focus on the viscera and bodily fluids of the body to create virulent poisons. Capable of rapidly concocting poisonous potions for use in combat, a poison necromancer is unmatched in the trade. Poisoner's Kit. When you take the subclass at 3rd level, you gain proficiency with a Poisoner's Kit. Poison Dagger. At 3rd level, you learn to manipulate the poisons of the world. As a bonus action, you can create a poison from your blood and coat a dagger you are wielding in it. This poison lasts for 1 minute until you coat the dagger in another poison, use this ability again, or let go of the dagger. When you hit a creature with the dagger, it must succeed a Constitution saving throw or become poisoned. While poisoned this way, it takes 2d4 poison damage at the start of each of its turns. The poisoned target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on itself on a success. This was giving me a bit of trouble because of the wording, but I like where it is, and it fits very thematically and very accurately to the actual Poison Dagger ability. It doesn't give you, it doesn't increase your attack rating, but yeah. Poison Explosion. Upon reaching 6th level, you learn the spell Stinking Cloud. You choose which creatures are affected by the poison. At 10th level, you learn the spell Cloud Kill and can cast it at its lowest level using this ability. You choose which creatures are damaged by it. You can cast this spell 3 times per long rest. And a note, just for clarification, the area is still heavily obscured regardless if they are affected by the poison or damage. So this is Poison Explosion here. I removed the corpse requirement because I wanted people to be able to actually use their abilities. And if you're facing down only one creature, then you're kind of doing nothing. So what I did was I looked at Stinking Cloud. Stinking Cloud and Cloud Kill are very, very similar. Cloud Kill, of course, is much stronger, but Stinking Cloud is still very useful. Creatures within this 20-foot radius sphere make a saving throw or spend their action retching and reeling, whereas Cloud Kill deals a ton of damage on a failed save. And that way it feels like it's leveling up because Cloud Kill at 6th level is very powerful, and I originally had it that way, but I found Stinking Cloud and was like, oh yeah, this is way better. Poison Adept. When you reach 10th level, your expertise with poisons has reached its peak. You gain expertise with the Poisoner's Kit, and the gold and time needed to create poisons with it are halved. In addition, poisons you concoct with the Poisoner's Kit last 1 minute rather than a single hit. Very simple. You're really good with poisons. Not a part of the main Necromancer features, but I had a level that I needed to stick something in there, and yeah, that's what it was. Poison Nova. When you reach 14th level, your mastery over poisons has exceeded the limits of most mortals. You can create an expanding ring of poison from yourself, dealing damage in an area. As an action, each creature of your choice within 30 feet of you that is not behind full cover makes a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, they take 8d8 poison, or half as much on a success, and you can use this ability twice per long rest. Poison Nova Necromancers are pretty darn powerful, because they get to cast this at will, and it's this massive AoE and deals a ton of damage. When you max out all your poison skills, and get your plus to poison and your lower resist over here, you can actually do quite a bit of damage. And yeah, this is an actual viable build in Diablo 2. But in here, in Dungeons and Dragons, I decided, yeah, twice per long rest, 8d8 in area is pretty darn powerful. So you're going to be focusing mostly on that Poison Dagger. So you're going to want to have a high dexterity, you're going to want to have a high constitution, and you're going to want to have a high intelligence as well for that saving throw. But you can also do some ranged with your Poison Explosion, and if you really wanted to, throw on your bone armor, run right in the middle of a pack of enemies, and just poison over the crap out of them. You can do that, not advisable. You'll die. Moving on to the Summoner. When people hear Necromancer, the summoner branch of the priests is usually the first thing to jump to their minds. Gaunt figures behind shambling bodies, commanding hordes of undead to tear through their foes. While it is true most join the priests in hopes of becoming a summoner, that honor lies with the elite of the order. Raise Skeleton. When you take this subclass at 3rd level, you learn the spell Animate Dead and can cast it at will with the following changes. You use the Skeletal Warrior stat block instead of Skeleton or Zombie. You can only have a number of creatures under your control with this spell, equal to your proficiency bonus. If casting this spell would result in excess creatures, choose a number equal to your proficiency bonus. The rest are destroyed. The creatures you summon with this spell do not leave your control after 24 hours, and if you issue no commands or are incapacitated, they take the dodge action and move to avoid danger. Skeletal Warrior, medium undead, no alignment. Armor class 14, they use a shield. Hit points 15 plus your Necromancer level. Speed 30 feet. Strength 10, Dexterity 14, Constitution 11, Intelligence 6, Wisdom 8, and Charisma 5. Condition immunities, Charmed and Frightened. 9 passive perception, understands the languages you speak, no challenge rating, proficiency bonus equal to yours. And short sword, melee weapon attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, range 5 feet, 1 target, 1d6 plus your intelligence modifier slashing damage. And I have a note here that maybe their armor class should scale equal to your proficiency bonus. So this actually gave me quite a bit of trouble trying to nail down exactly how I wanted to do this stat block and this ability. Because Animate Dead is a 3rd level spell. You're not getting that normally until 5th level. But how do you have a summon Necromancer without Animate Dead? So instead what I did was just replace the stat block. Here's one that I'm going to give you, and then make a couple of different changes to the spell. The restriction of only having a number of creatures under your control through this spell equal to your proficiency bonus is just a balancing issue. That way you can't spend, go to a graveyard and suddenly you're Liliana Vess and just raise everything to go fight your enemies. I don't know how balanced this is. I know that summoning, especially a ton of creatures, is very, very powerful. You don't get a 3rd skeleton until you are 5th level. And I mean, they only have, so many hit points, so maybe it's not that powerful, but action economy, that's all I can say. Summon Adept. Your control over your summoned creatures excels. As a bonus action at 3rd level, you can give commands to any number of creatures you control within 60 feet of you. They do not have to be the same command. Much like the Druid's Horde Master, which is actually based off of the Summon Adept feature here, you can just command creatures that are under your control. Skeleton Mage. At 6th level, you can summon skeletal mages rather than warriors when you cast Animate Dead. These mages use the Skeletal Mage stat block. You decide what each corpse becomes separately. Skeletal Mage, medium undead, armor class 11, very low. Hit points 10 plus half your Necromancer level, rounded down, also very low. Speed 30 feet, Strength 8, Dexterity 12, Constitution 11, Intelligence 15, Wisdom 10, and Charisma 8. Immune to Charmed and Frightened, Passive Perception 11, understands the language you speak, no challenge rating. Proficiency bonus equal to your bonus. Elemental Attack. When this creature is summoned, choose one of the following damage types: cold, fire, lightning, or poison. Actions: Mage Blast. Ranged spell attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, ranged 60 feet, 1 target, and then it has 4 different types of damages. It deals 1d6 cold damage, and its speed is reduced. The target's speed is reduced by 10 feet until the end of its next turn, or 2d4 fire damage, or 1d12 lightning damage, or it makes a Constitution saving throw, or takes 2d8 poison damage. So in this initial pass, I wanted to separate the different damage types into, make it more flavorful and more in line with how Diablo 2 actually works. So cold damage is low damage, but you slow down your enemies. Fire has a higher floor, but a lower ceiling than lightning, but it also is more consistent damage. Lightning is just, 1 to 2 billion damage, as in 1 damage to 2 billion damage. It's just this huge range. but it has the potential to one-shot creatures. And poison is a damage over time. So that's why these aren't just, 2d6 poison damage, 2d6 fire damage and whatnot. I wanted to make it different. Like I said, this is a first pass. Maybe it's good, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just, I'm up in the night trying to make things work that's just not important. But I do like the flavor of it. And then another note down at the bottom, maybe I should add their proficiency bonus to their armor class, make it a little tankier as they level up. Revive. Your training has granted you the ability to restore dead creatures to a similitude of their life. At 10th level, as an action, you can target the corpse of a creature with a challenge rating less than your proficiency bonus and animate it under your control, except it is undead. This lasts 1 hour or until you are incapacitated, and you can use this ability 3 times per long rest. So I kind of wanted to make this Dance Macabre, but I think Dance Macabre was not basic rules. Maybe it is, I can't remember. But also, it didn't feel really right. So I built it the way that I have here. This does mean that you get full access to the creature's stat block. But note, it is not challenge rating equal to or less than your proficiency bonus. It is challenge rating less than. So you're only getting, at most, 5th level creatures, or 5th CR5 creatures. Because, once you get into CR6 or higher, it becomes really, really powerful. But no, this way, you take down one big creature and you bring it back up. You can use it as a meat shield. You can use it to deal a ton of damage, or, as a mount, if you really wanted to. Summon Mastery at 14th level. Creatures you summoned have resistance to all damage. In addition, they add your proficiency bonus to their damage rolls if they didn't already. This is a mix of Skeleton Mastery and Summon Resist. Skeleton Mastery increases the amount of damage that they're dealing, and technically increases their hit points as well. Summon Resist just gives them the ability to have resistance to the damage. So kind of a mix of elemental resistance and physical resistance, totaling up to, well, not physical resistance, hit points, totaling up to just resistance to all damage. Now, something to note here is creatures you've summoned versus creatures you control. If somehow you manage to get Dominate Person, you find a scroll of Dominate Person, they don't get this benefit. But the creatures that you've summoned, your Skeletal Mage, your Skeleton Warrior, and your Revives, they do get that benefit. Anyway, that is the Necromancer. I've rambled on for far too long, and editing is going to take a ton of time. So I really like the Necromancer. I have enjoyed playing with my player, and he's done some pretty interesting things, some pretty smart things with his Necromancer and his Clay Golem. There are some design features in here that I've kind of hidden and left behind for people to discover, some combinations that people have not talked to me about. Or maybe I'm just pulling your leg. I don't know. But either way, I think I will end it there. Yeah, I will see you in the next one, and have a good whatever.